You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Stop our show.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney. I am joined by Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ty Capone. Ty, Sixers are done. It's over. The season is over. And out in the first round, a step back from last year where we went out in the second round. We're going to put this season to bed. We're going to talk about the future. We're going to talk about everything that, could be happening, upcoming. Our Phillies are, not your Phillies, but my Phillies are leading the major leagues. They are tearing the cover off the baseball right now. They're getting some great pitching. They are playing some all-around great baseball right now. And the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. I watched the Derby this past weekend. There was a lot that went on this past weekend. We're going to have 2 pods dropping today. Ty, how you feeling? What's it like down there in the Pete? It's probably a beautiful day.
It's a little too much. It's 87, and the sun's not happy, and it's gonna be like this for a long time. So, put your SPF 50 on, maybe 500.
Wear a leather jacket. That's
what
I do.
Don't show any skin.
Yeah.
It's nice, but it's just too nice, if that's possible. Our Phillies, our Dodgers, the two. I think they're first and second wins in the league. I mean, the Guardians might be there, the third. Orioles, Yankees, fourth. So look at our team hitting the shit out of the ball. Alec Baum's hitting the shit out of the ball. The only person hotter than him is, I think, Shohei Ohtani. So there's your MVP leaders right there. It's been a good start there. We got the lottery tonight in the NHL. Football's it's so close, but it's so far away. So that kind of sucks. And then our Sixers, lost in very miserable fashion, as we probably both knew would happen.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was working, so I, was distracted.
Yeah, so let's just get right into it. Yeah, so Game 6, they come up short, 118-115. You get a 46 spot, 41 spot from Jalen Brunson, which seemed like the norm at a certain point during these playoffs. After I shit on him after Game 2 and saying that he's a bum and
he started going off.
He started going off, and I know a lot of people want to just blame it on, it's the refs give him, he's allowed to do whatever he wants, which is true, and he's allowed to violate the rules of basketball that have been established for years upon years upon years, and for some reason, the refs really do just let him do whatever he wants to do. He does. He's very good. He's still very good at playing within those parameters. He still makes tough shots. He's good. He has great body control. He's great at scoring the ball. He's a mid-range god. He can make the threes. He's like I guess you could. I don't know if he's like a superstar on the level of some of those other guys, like maybe a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or an Ant Edwards or someone like that, or the upper level. But I don't know. I heard some people saying he's like a Trae Young kind of like in that tier of where at least Trae Young was a couple years ago. I don't know if it really matters. At the end of the day, the guy's scoring 40 in the playoffs, going crazy and winning games. So I can sit here and hate on him all I want, which I don't like the man. I those guys piss me the fuck off, and the Sixers again lose to like most of their home games in the playoffs. Like in a series, they get. They go on the road, they can't win. They go at home, they can't win. They did actually win a road game this past. That I don't want to. I'm kind of jumping all around though, but it's a shame, Ty, to me that Tyrese Maxey 3-point prayer and the comeback that he kind of like spurred them on and basically saved Embiid from like gave him a reprieve and gave him another opportunity to kind of make it right after he laid a complete egg in Game 5. Just didn't look like he wanted to be there. This was like kind of just seemed like I don't know. Like I have a tough time explaining it. Like he just wanted to be anywhere else but Madison Square Garden in an NBA game for Game 5 of a series where it's an absolute must-win game. And it was kind of a carryover. It was almost like they restarted the game right after Game 4, like he was still tired. He was just kind of hanging out, and all of a sudden the knee bothered him from the very jump. Did you notice, though, as the playoffs went on, we always thought that maybe the knee was going to get better. It seemed like it got worse as the playoffs went on. So I guess I don't know. I don't want to go all in here and just keep talking, but I guess I'll go back to Game 5 or Game 6 real quick. They come up short, Ty. At the end of the day, I just think they were never going to beat this team. I underestimated how, I guess, good the Knicks were and good at playing with each other, and how maybe, I guess, not good the Sixers were, because you really just got no play or no real good play out of your your role players and your kind of background characters who just didn't help you whatsoever. You got at least some play out of Campaign. You got one good half out of Buddy Hield, which I still don't understand, Ty, how the man makes like 5 threes in the first half, and then he barely gets any burn in the second half. That really made no sense to me, because seemed like the only opportunity to really use that guy. Kelly Oubre had
look at Tobias.
Well,
Two shot attempts in 30 minutes.
Listen, as much as I want to hate, at least Tobias Harris kind of realized that I'm not good, so he kind of started to focus on rebounding and trying to do something in that area, which, I mean, he can only do so much, but I gave up, like, getting mad. Like, I was mad at him 3 years ago. I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that that's who he was. Then I'm happy he's gone. Like, we're over this. We're not going to have to deal with this ever again. And if they do bring him back, I won't root for the team anymore. That's, there's always that possibility. I don't trust Daryl Morey to not bring him back. And they made a lot of the moves. He said the fit with Buddy Hield was less good than he thought it was going to be. No shit. He also said he's going to bring back Paul Reed next year, which I don't understand all that much, but I guess.
Sure, bring him back so he can play 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, and be paid like $8 million a year. I don't know if that's the right move here. I would obviously want to get a center, maybe draft a center, or somebody that could play behind Joel Embiid and make those minutes somewhat worthwhile, not just absolutely like biting your fingernails and waiting for them to be over, because that's pretty much what they were. And loved all the people saying after the Game 5, well, this is Maxey's team now. Like this is, move out of the way, Joel. It's all about Maxey now. Maxey did not play well in Game 6 whatsoever. Nope. I mean, he had 17 points. I will say, for the record, the man gets no whistle whatsoever. I don't like that term, because it's like, why are we all just battling for whistles in an NBA game? It's not like, it shouldn't be like a classification of how good or bad your whistle is, because you don't have a whistle. It's supposed to be the refs. But he draws the fouls. They just don't call them. Jalen Brunson can just stop dead in a non-basketball move. That's what I said. That's what I love. They're like, well, it's like, he's playing basketball. No, in no sport do you just stop dead and can run into somebody and and it's like a violation on the other person. You're jumping, and then sometimes you're jumping back and flailing your head and headbutting people, and they call fouls, for you. It's absolute madness, but that's just kind of what NBA basketball has turned into, and especially with the Knicks, it's very obvious. The Knicks fans can never really complain about poor refereeing or anything along those lines. They have gotten all sorts of breaks this postseason. I mean, last night was another example of just call after call after call kind of going their way. Your boy Zach Zarber's out there, New York native. It's just hilarious. That's just kind of what the NBA is.
Yeah. I guess I'm more interested to see what we do in the offseason, because this is probably Daryl Morey's his last hurrah, would you say?
I would sure fucking hope so.
Yeah, he's got to do something. He's got to get somebody do something. But it seems like there's really nobody out there. Anybody that could be an option, Sixers fans are like, I don't want him. It's like, if LeBron were to come here, you would really not want him? I'm sorry. Yeah. Or Paul George or literally anybody else? No, we don't need him. What do we need? What do you think we need? Kevin Durant? People don't want him. There's not really anybody we could just get.
There's people out there. Like, this is something I just talked to my dad about this. They're like, well, we don't need another guy. We need just athletic wings on the outside. Or we don't need, we need just guys who can come out and play defense. Those guys are all on people's teams, and they don't want to give them up. Like, that's the problem, okay? Like,
Yeah, we can't just get like a Jaden McDaniels
yeah,
from the Timberwolves. We can get a Jalen McDaniels, his brother, who's not very good.
and we had him.
That we already tried that, yeah. So we can't go and just get an Anthony Edwards.
You want Matisse Thybulle? We had that. It's though that's not the answer. I love it to be, but I honestly think it's much easier to find a superstar than it is to find multiple role players that can actually come in and do the job that you need them to do. We've done that time and time again. I mean, you're bringing in the Buddy Hields of the world and the Kelly Oubres and the Nick Batums, and they did okay, but it still wasn't enough. You obviously needed something else to push you over the hump. So at the end of the day, I guess I'd like to ask you, what were you like? I guess not shocked. You picked the Knicks. The series went exactly how you predicted before the series. So congrats to you. You were on top of that. But
Right.
yeah, I know. I know it made you feel great when you were like, "Yeah, I was right about this." That's what people really do think, though. When I told you this story about my friends, I told them that the Eagles are going to lose to the Bucks. Like, you're out of your mind if you actually are trying to convince yourself that they're going to. And they're like, "You're not a fan. Oh, you're happy now." I'm like, "No, I'm not happy that I was right." Like,
I'm telling you the truth.
I'm just telling you what it is. I want them to win. I rooted for them the whole game. I know they're going to lose, though. It's just that's just how it is. And it's kind of how it is with the Sixers.
We knew what this was. I think we knew all year. We just kind of, tried to get excited. But the fact of the matter is, our guys don't show up when it matters, and we only have two guys on the team that are consistent. So, and even their consistency is a little questioned. So yeah, I don't really know what's next. To be completely honest, hopefully we can show some interest in somebody, and we can somehow get somebody to come over here and be, the third star, the third guy. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that would be the thing. You just, we go through all these names, and you're hearing all sorts of names. We're going to get into it in a second of all the different possibilities, what we think about them, but I've had a couple of my buddies say, listen, the day of the big three or the three stars, three-headed monster is over with. That's not how you win a championship anymore. And I just crack up when people start saying stuff like that, because that's how, all thinking in the NBA or any sports league goes. It's like, well, remember, what was it when Steph Curry was the best player in the league, or when he had, when he was on the Warriors, I should say, because I don't think he was ever really the best player in the league. You don't need bigs to play anymore. You don't need bigs to win. It is all about guard play. That's what it's all about. You win with your guards. The guards are the ones that get it done, and that's all that really matters. And then what? That was 5, or a little bit longer than that, 6, 7 years ago. It's 8 years ago now, I guess, 2016, 15, all that. Now it's you need bigs to play. Now all the big, because Jokic won last year. They're not going to win without a certified big man that can, patrol the paint, score, do all the things that you need to be done. The league is just a copycat league. All of them are. They're just going to go off. They see one thing that works, and they're going to try and copy that. And if the Sixers were to maybe add a Paul George or something like that, go on to win a championship, you know what the next day they'd be saying? Wow, people are trying to all team up again. They want a big three. They're trying to develop a big three. They're trying to figure out how they can stack all of their rosters with big-time players. It's just I'm tired of narratives like that. They're just lazy and stupid, and there's multiple ways to win a championship. There's not just one way, one recipe, for success. It goes in all sorts of different ways. The Sixers, I think, you could maybe develop or build a team through signing guys and maybe getting role players and whatnot, but do you, Ty, you don't think that that's their best option? Like, I think you're in agreement with me, like that's not really a realistic thing to try and go out and find a bunch of guys that can play the wing and play defense. And I mean, again, you made mention of our two superstars, as good as they aren't the most consistent players. One game the guy's dropping 40, next game he can't even score 20. The one game Embiid scores 50, and then the next game it's like he scores 20 and he has no gas at the end of the game, which you could blame on Nick Nurse. I don't think Nick Nurse had a great series as well, but I just like to hear your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, I don't think you can just go out and get guys like that. You're gonna have to overpay for them, and then there's going to be these expectations. If you could get a Kelly Oubre for what, $3 million, if you could get a bunch of deals like that, sure, that would work. I mean, how much is Oubre going to command next year, whether it's with us or somebody else? Probably multi-year and like 10, 15 a year, just based off what he did this year. So, yeah, I'm not sure where these guys come from. I mean, look at how the Timberwolves built their insane roster. They did it the right way. I don't think we have an easy path to get to something like that. I think the deal is. I think what we have to do is try to get Paul George. I don't know if I think he's likely to test free agency, but are the Clippers going to let him leave? Is he really going to leave L.A. where he's from? Maybe.
It sounds
Maybe
like he's
there's a
at the
chance.
very least going to. So we'll just go the old segue into what the Sixers. What are the options for them to add this offseason? All right, and you go through them. And if you go through the top available free agents, number one on here, is probably LeBron. The possibility of him being available. I personally don't think he's going to leave LA. This one I for sure don't think, because it's just basketball at the end of the day to LeBron these days. It's not the end of the world. He's done his thing. He won championships. I think he's going to keep getting coaches fired out now. I think he wants to act like he's still trying to strive for a championship and win. And he got lucky with that kind of bubble title. They had a great team that year, and everything kind of fell their way that season. But I don't think that's ever going to happen again, and I don't think they're ever going to really be relevant again. So
Probably not. Also, I do think it's funny because you're not the only person. Everybody's saying, "Oh, another coach, LeBron got fired." Right before he got fired, he made comments about a certain player that were very daunting, and that's pretty much what got him, what did him in. That was the nail in the coffin. That was about D'Angelo Russell, not LeBron James. So it is interesting that he had a team full of pretty much dog shit players besides LeBron and Anthony Davis, who had their struggles with consistency. Anthony Davis, health-wise. Also, Darvin Ham was just not a good coach,
No.
I don't think, but not really sure how easy it is to be a good coach when LeBron is on the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and also when you're in LA and everybody, you're not only does LeBron have more say than you, everybody in the front office, every single person who thinks there's something, Genie Bus, this bus, that guy, this guy, him, her, Magic Johnson,
Pelinka.
everybody has everybody has a hand in there. I would not want to coach for the Lakers if I was anybody at all, just for those reasons. If you want to go to Minnesota, look at Chris Finch. I think he was the assistant and kind of just fell into that job. So yeah, so he's probably the top guy you're saying, then Paul George, yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, of the available free agents, because there's obviously options to trade, and the Sixers do have a good amount of picks that maybe somebody could, want them, as opposed to maybe, you're not going to trade Maxey or anything like that. So LeBron, we're taking pretty much off the board. You would want him though, right? I mean, obviously, I think it's a stupid question, but there's
I'm not
people
gonna
out
say
there
no.
who say, I think we have to say, because there's idiots out there who are like, no, I don't want LeBron James. Yeah. So we both obviously want him.
Yeah, we don't need him.
Yeah.
We're in a good spot. We don't need him.
He'd probably be number one on my list for the record, because I know he's older and everything, but he's relatively healthy this year, and he would have less of the burden on his shoulders than he's probably ever had in his career since. I mean, even probably more than Miami. I mean, having Maxey and Embiid would probably just be like heaven to him, because he would just be able to show up and do his thing, and he would still be able to, he's shooting threes, and he could probably
young guard and the big man.
Yeah, and he could play off the ball. He could probably just, he could still facilitate. It would be the perfect next to Maxey, because Maxey doesn't really want to, or not really want to, but I don't think he's really the guy to be a guy who runs an offense and finds a bunch of guys and just creating shots for everybody. And I think he can do it, but I think me and you both agree that Maxey's number one talent is just getting to the bucket, scoring, and then he's able to find assist off that. LeBron is just the ultimate, just everything. He does everything, and he's one of the greatest players. He's the second greatest player of all time, if not the number one, if you want to have that argument, which we're not going to have today on this podcast. Paul George is the next guy. Reports are that he was not offered the max contract in LA because I believe Kawhi Leonard took less, and I think they're trying to,
pay Harden too.
Yeah, they're manipulating the cap to make sure that they can keep Harden. and keep all three of these guys, here in LA or there in LA. I'm not in LA. I'm in I'm in southern New Jersey right now, but I don't know. I am not as hot, or I don't really like the idea of bringing in Paul George for the max level contract at the age of 34 years old for a guy who, I don't know, it seems like he's let his teams down in the playoffs multiple times, and he's got, after, I think the last couple years before, I think it was before this year, he was like playing like 40, 50, 20, 30 games each season, we need a guy who's really going to be available all the time. I don't want to. The farther I go into this, it's gonna be like, damn, he's shitting on Paul George. Like, and if we get him, you're like, you were never a Paul George guy. I'm not saying I'm totally against it. It's just that there are guys I'd rather have above. Like, he's not number one on my list.
Yeah, but I think fit wise, it would be almost a perfect fit. His talent level is he's very I guess similar-ish in some ways offensively to LeBron. Not the playmaker per se, but he is a tough shot maker. One of the best tough shot makers in the league. He had this like turnaround, step back, corner fadeaway three that he just drained a couple games ago, and I think it was Game 5, one of the games against Dallas. But he has come up short before. He has injury issues. He's 34, so combining all those things, it's not a perfect recipe, but beggars can't be choosers, right? I mean, who else? Do you want to go out and get DeMar DeRozan or Klay Thompson? Those guys look more cooked than Paul George is. I don't see Siakam. Like, that's another guy who's not young. He's not as old, but he's in his 30s. I think I take Paul George all day. He gives you pretty much a little bit of everything, offensively, defensively, everything. He's obviously has all that vet experience. Yeah, him and Embiid. So there's probably going to be a lot of games they don't play together, but I just don't know what else there is really to do, who else there is to get, and I think those three together, Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George, it's hard to argue that they'd be top 2, top 3 at worst trios in the league.
So I guess, yeah, like you made mention of, like, you don't want guys like Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's completely.
I mean, I would take Klay, right?
Yeah, but not for
like,
what the money that he
reason.
thinks he's gonna like command.
Yeah.
Like he just made 38 a year this year. It would be basically like
20.
signing an old. I mean, he's 3 years older than Tobias Harris right now. I'm not doing that. He's only good.
But if you can give him 25 a year or something like that, I feel like maybe I would do that. Yeah, I mean,
think he's just so.
If you get DeRozan, if you have to get DeRozan, maybe you just pair somebody who can shoot with him, because DeRozan's not really a shooter. Klay, I agree. I think he is kind of cooked. I think he's just. There's been games where how long did he have a leash for? Meanwhile, Jonathan Kuminga is playing his ass off, and he couldn't get any fourth quarter minutes. And then they finally, after so long, made a change, and that kind of woke up Klay, I think. But the fact that he needed that to happen, he came off that bad injury. He's also getting old. And then on this team, I mean, it's different. There's a comfortability with Golden State. You know what I mean? They all love him out there, and he's with Draymond, and he's with Curry. I think playing with Maxey and Embiid, I don't think that's a downgrade at all. But it's not what he's used to. It's not something he's also. He seems kind of like I don't know. He seems very laid back, relaxed. He doesn't really give a fuck. Remember that picture? There's him sitting away from the huddle the one time where he was having a terrible game and he was like smiling or whatever. So I don't know how he would really love being here,
No, he would not fit in here whatsoever. Yeah, that's
also his defense very overrated.
Yeah, and I think it was good at one point. It's just the injuries really added up for him. It sucks. Yep. He got really unlucky, that ACL and then the Achilles right after it, and he was just never really the same ever again. It just sped up his falling off so quickly and radically that it just became untenable. You can't really have him out on the floor and be a championship level team unless he comes back and he's a different player. Like, I think he's like a good role player. He can still bang threes, but he's going to be the money that he's going to command and make. He's going to be expected to do a lot more than just that, and it's going to be brutal. Tobias Harris is on this list. No, thank you. Obviously, that goes without saying. James Harden, he's on the list. No. Pascal Siakam, I would be about
I'd be
that. I
there.
just I don't know if the money would be worth what he's going to command as well. I don't think that would make much sense. Would you want OG Anunoby? He's a player. He's got a player option for this upcoming offseason. I don't know if I went seeing him play in this past playoff series. I guess I wasn't.
He's all right.
He's just okay, right? Yeah, like that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That was just like okay, whatever. DeMar DeRozan, you made mention of. He's a little bit older now too. If you can get him on a cheaper-ish deal, if some of these other guys, go elsewhere or stay at home where they are at, then maybe you can make a move like that. Before we get into some of the other trade options, I guess I wanted to hear of what players do the Sixers have that you would want to keep? Like, would you want Lowry to come
I
back?
guess Oubre and Lowry cheap deals. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
but,
I guess Oubre probably is going to get paid though. That's why I think he's going to go elsewhere. I don't know, but the NBA is weird though because it's like if you're not one of them guys, then you're just going to get paid by like the Rockets or something, and then you're going to get like passed around the league at some point because nobody really wants to pay your contract of 4 years, $45 million or something like that.
I think we might be able to keep him on like a 1 year, 5, 10 something $1 million deal. I wouldn't be against it. Lowry, I wouldn't be against. He's probably getting the vet minimum. I think he probably wants to stay in Phillies from here. I wouldn't be against that either. Bring him off the bench.
Sure.
Play a couple minutes. You need somebody that can play off the bench. We don't really have anybody.
Batum?
I don't know if Batum's. Maybe. I think he can give you a little bit, but I want to get a little bit younger.
True.
These guys are all
old.
in their mid to late 30s. So, I'm not sure. What do you think about the controversial Miles Bridges?
No. Well, I mean,
No.
I just think he's probably like somebody's going to pay him,
Yeah.
and the guy's not a good guy to begin with, so I'm not going to get too worked up about him.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell might be a free agent. Is that anything that would that?
No.
No. See, like
Not
that's the thing though. You start going through some of these names. Tyus Jones is a guy that the Sixers, or at least Sixers fans, have really loved the idea of having. I guess pairing him next to Maxey, but I guess I'd want a little bit of a bigger guard to kind of play next to Maxey. But other than that, though, it would be all the role players. The Morris twins. There's Malik Monk is a free agent. There's
I wouldn't mind Malik Monk.
Alec Burks, who's kind of on the other way. Talon Horton Tucker. Hey, there's your boy.
Yeah.
Joe Ingles is going to be a senior citizen soon. You got Rocco, who just his knee just disintegrated on us. Coming down the stretch here for the playoffs. So you got Gary Harris, who's going to be a free agent. Those are the kind of guys, I guess, I hope that the Sixers could maybe swindle a couple deals here and there to maybe bring in some guys who can make some plays for them off the bench, but not really holding on to hope there. Not really going to get all worked up at the idea of some of these guys. Drummond's a free agent as well. Like the Sixers need to get a backup center. That for sure goes without saying, I think. Some of the other options, Ty, that could be available. What are your thoughts on Brandon Ingram? Because
I don't love him.
That's the thing. I love this guy coming out of the draft. Back in the day. I wanted him over Ben Simmons. I told all my buddies that at the time. They said you're an idiot. It's like okay. It's like one of the only things I've gotten right. Where, but just because off the fact that, Ben Simmons fell off a cliff and just literally didn't learn. And then he's at the Met Gala wearing.
I don't even know where he is.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, did you see him? Did you see him at the Met Gala?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he looked insane, dude. He was wearing some wild shit. But at the very least, Ingram has become like a perennial 20-point per game scorer. And he got hurt this year and bounced back pretty quick. But, I mean, the last 5 years, 64 games, 45, 55, 61, 62. So I guess somewhat available, at all times. But I see people are worried about his capability of playing next to an Embiid or a Tyrese Maxey and see that, like, he doesn't really play well without the ball in his hands. He's not a great defender. So I don't know how well he would really fit in with some of these other guys.
He does to shoot middies.
Yeah, I think he's like a poor man's Kevin Durant. He always kind of has been, and a real poor man's Kevin Durant. So I don't know, and I don't even know if in a trade is it pretty much that we're just going to be trading a lot of picks because we don't really have any. We're just kind of absorbing these guys onto the cap is the idea. I would assume, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe
Because we don't have
we're
anything
freeing
to
up money.
trade.
Yeah. So what do we, how are we even getting some of these deals done?
Maybe we sign and trade somebody and throw them to them. I don't know if we can even do that if they're free. I don't really know. I'm sure some guy at home is punching his steering wheel while he's driving, listening to this podcast, saying, "You guys have no fucking idea how the NBA cap works." I try to.
I do not.
Yeah, I try my best, but
it's
I really
very confusing. The bird rights and the these rights and the this, the that, the this many years. Yeah, it's pretty confusing.
don't. So Brandon Ingram. What about Jimmy Butler? Obviously, that name has been getting circulated around. Jimmy Butler, him and Pat Riley have kind of, more honestly on the side of Pat Riley taking shots at Jimmy Butler, saying that he should keep his mouth shut if he's not in the playoffs because of the comments he made. I kind of felt bad with Jimmy Butler. He was all banged up coming out of some club. He's just all drunk. He's just like, you know what, bro, I'd have cooked all of them, which. Come on. Why do we have to record these guys just talking their shit? I didn't know it was illegal.
Let them live their life, man.
Yeah, I didn't know it was illegal to just talk your shit nowadays. But I guess when you're famous and some guy can send it to TMZ or something and make $20 off of it, then it's a good day for that guy. But what are your thoughts on the idea of Jimmy Butler? I think if I had to guess from knowing you well enough, that you're kind of past the Jimmy Butler
I'm good.
to Sixers.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't think you were ever really a real Jimmy Butler guy.
No, I'm not a big Jimmy Butler fan. No, I'm not. But I mean, if it was like him or like DeRozan, I guess sure. It would be it wouldn't end well again.
Yeah.
And I just don't see what the point would be.
I think the problem is that he wants an extension in Miami, and Miami doesn't really want to give it to him because he was always injured. But what would you want to give it to him here? When he shows up and he's going to be. I think he's 35 or he's going to be 35 by the time the next season starts. No, thank you, dude. I don't want anything to do with that. Sixers rumored to be eyeing trade for all-star forwards Jimmy Butler and Brandon Ingram. According to ESPN's Brian Windhorst, so I trust Windy because he locked me down on that James Harden trade, and he's plugged. Big Windy's plugged in. The Sixers could make a move for either Jimmy Butler or Brandon Ingram, both all-star forwards. While Paul George remains at the top of their list, those two were floated as potential options. Butler missed the postseason due to an injury and is signed for at least another season and has a player option he could exercise or decline prior to the 25-26 season. So I guess that's something to take note that maybe you could get him. I guess the only good thing is maybe you could get him for a little bit cheaper than maybe you thought, that some of these other guys are going to be available. On the flip side, Brandon Ingram could be a more realistic option should they blunder on George. He signed for just another year, opening the prospect of a sign and trade, which I don't know what that means. But, I guess maybe they sign him and then trade him. I don't know. Even better, New Orleans will likely be warm to the idea of flipping him as they retool their roster around Zion Williamson. So, it sounds like Brandon Ingram is going to get moved. It sounds like they are tired of him, I guess, or they're trying to run the Zion Williamson Brandon Ingram duo has kind of run its course down there in New Orleans. So I think as this podcast is going on, I'm kind of warming up to the idea of Brandon Ingram coming into the city. How about it doesn't seem like this is a realistic option, but Kevin Durant is another name that has been out there as well. And
I say no.
I would love Kevin Durant. I really would. I think he would be perfect. He can play defense. He can score. He can do all sorts of stuff. I don't think he would really like playing here because the ball won't be in his hands as much as maybe he would want. And I don't think the Suns are going to trade him for picks because they really don't have their best option really is to just kind of play this out until the end. Keep running the same trio and maybe trying to shuffle the deck and find other players that can play next to Beal, Booker, and Durant. And then the Beal's not going anywhere because he's got a no trade clause. Durant is getting older, so you're not going to get the players that you want for him. And Booker is probably just staying there. And you could trade him. You could probably get something good for him, but what would be the point at that point? So seems like, let me see if you had to stack up your top 3 or 5, Ty, Sixers options that you want to bring in this offseason. What would you put them at?
My top 3 or 5, you said?
Yeah. As the St. Pete's Police. Oh, my God. What is this cop?
Let's see who they have.
Yeah, this cop's coming in to arrest you for whatever you're about to say. So
Yeah, I guess one would be. Paul George.
okay,
I guess LeBron. We're not going to put LeBron in because that's probably unrealistic. I guess two would be. Ingram,
okay.
and then three Jimmy Butler.
All right.
How about that? How about I put Butler at three? I don't know what maybe there's somebody else that we don't know about. Maybe we can somehow get Trae Young for cheap. Maybe we can
Donovan Mitchell is another name that's kind of out there. I don't think he'll be available, but
probably not. Yeah.
maybe there is a name out there that we're not thinking of that could sneakily become available for these picks. That I don't know who that would be. If you scour the entire NBA, it's going to be tough. I wouldn't want a Trae Young. I really didn't. I would not. I don't think we would have
Chris Middleton.
No.
No,
no, not at all.
Kyrie. I doubt he would even become available. I don't think he is. But what else is there?
Exactly. Lauri Markkanen, which I don't think that's
Darius Garland. I think he's not good at all after watching him get exposed in the playoffs. Malik Monk would be an interesting option, but again, that's not really moving the needle. So
no. Nope. And that's pretty much all we can do for now. In the draft, though, I do you have have you? You're not a big NBA draft guy as much as we are big NFL draft guys, I would say.
Well, that's because the Sixers never have picks.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I'm kind of out of the loop when it comes to the NBA draft. I used to be on NBADraft.net every day, checking to see. We were doing mock drafts. We were doing all sorts of shit back in the day to kind of get ourselves ready to see who the Sixers might pick at 2 or 1, and they were so bad. It's like, damn, bro. Look, it looks like we might get Simmons this year. We might. Who's this Markelle Fultz guy? I kind of like Brandon Ingram. I like Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown might end up with us. I don't really know much about him. It's just
so we're probably going to have a top 20 pick. We're going to be where would we be?
I think we're at 16. I think
16.
I think that's what I saw. I don't know that for.
We're the second highest pick of non-playoff teams.
Yes.
Of playoff teams, right? There's some interesting guys there, but right there we're projected to get Isaiah Collier.
Yeah.
He's the number 1 recruit in the country, went to USC and did not play that well. I don't think he's that good. He's listed as a point guard, but I don't even know what he is because he's not really a shooting guard. So, Jared McCain, my boy from Duke, I would love him. The fellow who sings and he also paints his nails. He's a sniper from 3. A lot of Sixers fans would want him for, whatever dumb reason, but I would love him. He's a good ball handler and a good shooter. Better than Kyle Filipowski. I don't want that guy.
Keep him away from me. Yeah, I don't
want that bum.
Nope. I want
Tyler
Zach
Kolk would be Zach. I think he. Yeah, if he's there, he's going to be there first round, buddy. He's not even going to be there at 16 for us. I don't think. Yeah, he's going to be a top 15, 20 pick. I think.
Then I want him. I want him right at 16.
16. All right. Yeah,
that's my backup center.
In this mock, I don't see him go until the second round, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I thought I saw. I don't know if this is a valuable.
I feel like he should go in the lottery. I mean, if it's him or Kyle Filipowski, I think I know who I'm taking. You know what I mean? I know he's a little too big for the NBA, but Filipowski stinks.
I'd rather have that kind of sideshow Boban sort of guy than have Filipowski getting beat up and just,
crying and flopping
crying
and
exactly, doing nothing for our team. That's I'm not doing that. I don't know. And it's funny though, how out of the loop I am. The number 1 pick on some of these mock drafts is this Alex Sarr guy, and I have no idea who he is or what he does or how good he could possibly be. So
yeah, he's there's a bunch of French people. Zachary Rinser, is that his name? Zachary, what's his name? Hold on, I gotta find him on here. He's not even. He was at the top of some mock. I don't even see him in the top. There he is, 10. Zachary Rissaker. He's also French. I don't know how I feel about those guys. Cody Williams is a consistent top 5, top 10 pick. I saw him play for Colorado. That's Jalen Williams on the OKC Thunder. Jalen. That's his little brother. Okay. He's a good athlete. I don't know about all that going that high. Reed Shepard, decent little white guy who can ball. That's a little high. Ron Holland from the G League. I wasn't sure about him at all. Very good athlete, but he can't shoot for shit. Donovan Clingan, Big Cling.
I like him. I like this kid Bucelis from the G League. So it's like a lot of older college players, a lot of overseas people like Nikola Topic from Serbia, a couple of French guys, a couple G League guys. It's a weird draft. It's definitely not. It's probably one of the worst ones we've had in recent memory. But like since what was the one?
These are bad.
The Anthony Bennett, like the Anthony Bennett year when nobody
yeah.
knew who was going number one. Ben McLemore was an option. Jacoby Walter, I like him from Baylor. Rob Dillingham, he's there's another French fellow, Tijan Salon. So yeah, we have a lot of French fries in this one. I guess this mock has us taking Tristan da Silva. Kind of like him from Colorado. Or it looks like Zach Edey's going to be around there. So you're in on Zach Edey at 16. I think I am too.
I love it. What about Dalton? I see Dalton Connect out here. I don't know if he's even.
He's probably going top 10.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I thought for a while that he was going to be around when we were here. Down lower.
There's just nobody else to go in this draft.
Yeah, there's a lot of French guys in this draft. The more I'm looking at it, but I don't want Rob Dillingham. That guy pissed me off in the tournament. He's an absolute shot chucker. This one has Tristan da Silva, so he was pretty good from what I remember. But he's from Colorado as well. So how about we just talk a quick little bit about my Phillies. Ty have just started to run roughshod over Major League Baseball. They now have the best record in all of Major League Baseball. I know that's just pissing you off. You probably were breaking stuff.
We're right behind, and we have a higher run differential. I don't care.
Whatever. You probably were breaking stuff at the crib and just saying like this. It can't be like this. Not this way. No, I think it doesn't really. I mean, that shit. We obviously know that shit doesn't.
Yeah,
matter.
we're in May.
We're in May.
It's definitely good when you're looking at the Braves. And if you can put yourself a distance this early, then maybe late in the season, when they fight back, you have some breathing room. You know what I mean? It's always, people say it's early, who cares? But you want to win those games just in case that at the end of the year, when you start to kind of like, the dog days of summer, right? Every team goes through it. The 2017 Dodgers, or I think, what year was it? I think 2017 or 19. They lost like 15 in a row in August and September, and it was one of the better teams. They were projected at least that year to like maybe challenge for the record for most wins in a season, and then lost 14 in a row. It was like, what the fuck is going on? So that's going to happen to a lot of teams. So it's good to have the record you do whenever you get there. So I know it's early and it's like who cares, but it does matter.
But I think it's different for at least the Phillies, just because the Phillies for so many years have been like under 500, like in like June, where it's like, are they going to wake up at some point? Like we've had to fire coaches, and we were like, when we fired Girardi, it was like, oh, okay, like that's not going to happen again. And then last year, 2023, it was like they started off slow again. It's like, yo, like what the fuck is going on? Like, is this just going to happen every year? And then early on in April this year, we were thinking, damn, like it's happening again. Like at least I was like, dude, they're just like blowing games and like just letting team. They showed up. I was there for the second game of the year, and they're getting blown out by the Braves. I'm like, oh, okay, it's just going to be more of the same this year. And it really hasn't been. Like they haven't played the greatest schedule, but I'd rather them win. It doesn't really matter.
You got to win those games.
Yeah. There was plenty of years, Ty, where they lost games where they were supposed to win, and it screwed them out of playoff spots and stuff like that. I'm not going to sit here and get like, well, let's see what they do against. They're obviously one of the elite teams in Major League Baseball. They're going to be around at the end. It's all about whether they can put it together, and in the playoffs, it's like every single team in Major League Baseball that's a playoff perennial championship contender. You're going to have to put it together come October, but it'll be much easier if you're able to the winning the NL East for the first time in probably a decade. I know they flirted with it in 2019, which it wasn't really a real thing when they first got Bryce. They kind of were just, that was the excitement of everything going around. But this is the first year in probably more than a decade where they've had a real chance of winning the NL East. They have a 3-game lead right now. The Braves lost their best pitcher. they're still playing pretty good, but they're losing. You know, they've lost a couple of these games recently that they shouldn't. They're 4-6 in the last 10. The Phillies are 9-1.
Acuna's not playing well.
Acuna's not playing well. They have plenty of. I know Albies missed a couple of games. This is the perfect start for the Phillies, and they just lost Trey Turner. You know, that's something that has to be pointed out. He's going to be out for at least 6 weeks, is what they're saying with the hamstring.
Oof.
Which
he was playing well too, man.
He really was, and it's a shame, and I don't know how that happened. You know, it really didn't look like he really pulled it that bad, but that's just kind of how those soft tissue injuries go. You really just
and he's a speedy guy.
And I guess they're gonna take their time, wait for him to come back. And the good thing about the Phillies is they have a good enough team where they're not dead while he's out. It was the same thing with Bryce. They played somewhat well when Bryce was out last year, and it took him a little bit to kind of wake up, and then eventually he did. You know. So hopefully you get him back sometime this summer, and then the Phillies can get back to rolling with, if you can get some hitting out of Castellanos, which it seems like he's woken up a little bit of recent. You're just getting a lot of good play from a lot of different people, and the obviously I think Ranger Suarez just won like pitcher of the month or something like that. So he has been absolutely elite. And Zach Wheeler, that goes without saying, has been 100% elite. Every time the guy's on the mound, it seems like a complete just lock for a win. What is he, 4-3? What is the ERA? I love how these websites
4-3, 1.64 ERA.
Wow.
His FIP, which is similar to ERA, is 2.29, which is very low. He's leading all baseball in pitcher WAR, 1.8. Tanner Houck is next at 1.6, and Ranger Suarez is 6th in WAR. Yeah. And both of them have been consistent all year. Jeff Hoffman's one of the highest WAR relievers. I think he's the 3rd highest behind Hunter Harvey and Mason Miller.
I saw you taking shots at all the Phillies fans last night.
Yeah, I saw Kepler saying nobody says that. I'm like, yeah, that's weird, because I remember he came into a game and blew it, and everyone's like, this is why we don't bring him in. He stinks.
I definitely
I'm like, what?
said that.
And since then.
I was going to expose myself last night, but I decided not to. I have said for sure that Hoffman should not be in safe situations. I know I have. So I want to just put hand up, McNabb chest pad on this one. This one's on there.
But even last year, I saw people saying, and he was really ERA in the 2s all year, and he's one of the better relievers in baseball. It appears.
Yeah.
So they've just been high. Everybody's like dialed in. Alec Baum, I thought he was leading the league, 2nd behind Marcell Ozuna by 1 in the RBI lead. He's already at a higher WAR than he's ever had, Alec Baum. So, and that's just 36 games into the season. 350, he's hitting 418 on base. He's playing well. Trey Turner before the injury was playing well. Bryce Harper was starting to hit a little bit. Castellanos starting to dig himself out of that hole he put himself in.
Yeah.
Brandon Marsh, when he's getting consistent playing time, is also hitting. I think JT has been
consistent.
Consistent, but I think you know what you're getting from him right now. Going forward, I think he's his best days are probably behind him.
Whoa.
I mean, he's striking out. He's striking out a lot. He's not hitting as much, and he's walking less than he used to. You know what I mean? There's a couple indicators that he's getting a little old. Still got 5 homers. Still playing. Still got a hose behind the plate. But I have seen defensive metrics that have hinted that his defensive play is starting to also fade a little bit. But remember, he's 33.
Yeah.
If you expect a catcher to play that well into their 30s at all, is a surprise. Like Will Smith is probably, I think he's 28. They'd be lucky for him to get to 33 and still be good. So nothing wrong with that. He's still, better than most catchers in the league. Man, they're just on fire. And the Dodgers are also on fire. Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani get on every game. Teoscar Hernandez is rocking the ball. Max Muncy's hitting home runs. So, it could be an NLCS showdown. You never know.
That would be sweet. I think
we owe them.
Yeah, the Phils are just going to need to kind of stay afloat. Not even stay afloat, but I think they have enough options where Stock could play shortstop, and then you put Edmundo, Witt. You could have a couple guys in there that maybe even a Cody Clemens to for when righties are pitching. You have a couple different options that could fill in and make this be able to survive while Trey Turner is out, and you're just going to.
I think they should make a trade.
For who?
Why not? I don't know. Maybe not right now, but maybe once teams start to realize their season's over, maybe you trade for Jazz Chisholm. Maybe you trade for Willie Adamas. Maybe I think they should make a move, strike while they're hot, just make the team better because the teams are going to look to do that later in the year. I think they should try to do it relatively soon. See if they can swindle a team that's maybe ready to wave the white towel.
Well, let's hope that Mike Trout comes back, and then I can start banging that drum again to get Mike Trout into Philly and make his career relevant. Yeah, hurt his knee again, right? He tore his meniscus.
Meniscus, yep.
And I guess he thinks he's Joel Embiid now because he's acting like he's going to be out for the year. It's crazy. Dude. Turner was hitting 343. That's just brutal that he's going to miss that amount of time. Marsh is kind of just
a shame.
He's been doing good. I know you're heartbroken about that. Harper, I need more average out of Harper, but if he's hitting all these home runs, then that's going to be fine, man. And Schwarber's exactly where we thought he would be at 214. Just really going to need more from Castellanos. 197 is not acceptable. We are a month into the season. We're going to need more from you.
Only 2 homers, too. He's got as many home runs as Whit Merrifield. So.
Yeah, this is 2022 version of him. And I also want to shout out to Spencer Turnbull, who has been huge for the Phils and holding down that 5th spot. Now that I think they're kind of running like a 6-man rotation now, which I think will be clutch come down the stretch when these guys.
Taijuan Walker just pitched well last night.
Yeah, he did all right. It's that's the thing. You have Sanchez has been doing good. Nola, other than the first game and the first couple games, his ERA is down to 3.32. Spencer Turnbull's 1.67. Like that's. Yeah, they have pretty good. They've gotten really good pitching and starting, and the bullpen for the most part, other than some of these guys who really should not have been, other than basically Sir Anthony. Yeah,
what happened to our boy?
Our boy has really fallen apart here, and it's hard.
He gives up so many home runs.
Yeah, I just don't know. He doesn't have that same fire anymore. It's not from him personally, but his pitches. He doesn't have any. I don't know. Like I don't know if it's a velocity or. It's just placement. I don't know if people just have figured out what he is. It's just
Matt Strom has been nasty. His FIP is 0.21.
That's wild.
His ERA is 1.29. So, he's not walking anybody. 14 Ks per 9, insane. So, yeah, Chris Sanchez has been good.
Yeah,
they're getting some good pitching from their guys all around. Kirkering just came back right. Gregory Soto. If only he could figure some things out. It seems like Alvarado, Soto, and Dominguez, 3 guys that you expect to be staples, have kind of been 3 or weaker relievers. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, wait for one or even just one of those guys. If one of them can get right, you're looking at one of the better bullpens in the league. Assuming
I trust Alvarado.
Hoffman, you should hopefully, right? He has 7 saves. Hoffman has a couple. Soto has a couple. So, I think pitching as a whole is fine. Maybe you try to get somebody at the deadline. Seems like pitchers are more available than hitters, but they might not need it.
Bullpen and an outfielder. That's what I'm going to be pushing for come the deadline. Emmanuel Clase, somebody like that could really pop in there. And
I don't know if the Guardians are going to be sellers this year.
Yeah,
so.
Get Mason Miller. Get him from the Athletics because he's throwing 107
nasty.
miles an hour every time he comes out, which is just nuts. But that is the Hot Take Hot Box, ladies and gentlemen. The Flyers, we got the draft lottery tonight. Looking forward to getting the 2nd pick and really making some waves here in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And then we signed Stamkos. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want Stamkos. I'm just. It's a big drama going on in the Flyers and Flyers Nation community. They don't want any old guys, all young guys. I want all young guys. It's a fucking bunch of crybabies. All the people that root for the Flyers, really.
I agree.
It's and I love the Flyers, but it's the same thing I feel about the Sixers fans, the hardcore ones that basically worship at the throne of Matisse Thybulle and players like that when they were here. Couldn't stand them. They just basically wanted to, have sexual relations with each of the guys. So, all right.
There you go.
Let's get that out of the way, and I'm glad we said all this. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney. His name is
Ty Capone.
And as always, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you courtesy spray when you leave the bathroom.